You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is available on all platforms, including YouTube. So download, subscribe to, follow Locked On Patriots so you do not miss a single second of the action. And of course, folks, we are a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And folks, thank you so much for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. I am your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. Reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. While you're out there showing social media love to Locked On Patriots, follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And folks, for the first time in 2024, I get to welcome in my good friend, my co-pilot, my brother in the business, the legendary Thomas Murphy. Murph, thank you so much for joining us here today, and welcome to the first 2024 episode of Locked On Patriots with you in the guest seat, Don Murph.
I think we got the last one of 2023 in, didn't we?
We did.
Not sure. We did. And then, so the first one, the non-solo of 2024. Good show yesterday, Michael. But always my pleasure. Can't wait to sit down here and talk some Pats with you, even after what happened on Sunday.
I know. Unfortunately,
I'm not happy,
folks.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and not a lot of Patriots fans are, although some are.
Another
and
win,
I did cover that
away.
yesterday. Today, Don Murph, I told you on Friday that I need a man who has powerful friends. I need $1 million in cash. I'm still waiting on that, by the way. But I did need those monster keys that you carry in your pocket like so many nickels and dimes. Murph, I know you as well as I were watching this game against the Bills on Sunday, wondering why a lot of these keys were not being turned.
Yeah.
When you look at specifically the offense, because we'll start there, Bailey Zappi, dismal performance in the first half. I thought he got a little bit better in the second half. I gave him some praise here on Locked On Patriots yesterday for kind of fighting through it. But the more I watched, and I went back and watched the game after recording yesterday's show, I'm starting to waver a little bit on the full game performance of Bailey Zappi. But you see things us mere mortals don't see. Which of the monster keys were you most disappointed wasn't turned offensively on Sunday, and your overall thoughts on the offense's performance against the Bills?
Well, the first key on my ring was to go out and sling it. I wanted the Patriots to set up the run with the pass. It turned out that if the Patriots had just taken a knee every time they got the ball in the first half of this game, they probably would have won it. All right. 17 points were scored before a single pass was completed in this game. 17. Yeah, I thought we were getting out to a good start. The special teams unit looked great, but you can't come back from 3 turnovers in a game. And Bailey Zappi turned the ball over 3 times in the first quarter. I've never seen that before in my life. I couldn't throw 3 interceptions if I tried to. Yes, one of them was tipped, but it was still Zappi's fault. He was late getting the ball there. One series, it looked like miscommunication. Somebody zigged when they were supposed to zag. It was awful, and the tip was just as bad. There's a reason that it's a weekly key to win the turnover battle. And you just can't in this league come back from something like that, to start a game. And the Patriots once again proved. But look on the bright side. We're improving. Okay. In week 3, you couldn't come back from 1 turnover, and the Patriots almost came back from 3. The Patriots did some good things in this game. The turnover battle, Keith, obviously wasn't won. All 3 phases, which was not taken care of, on third down. Okay,
Mm,
the Patriots, once
yeah.
again, it was in my keys last week. It's in my keys almost every week. The Patriots did not do well on 4 for 10 on third down in this game, and while Buffalo's held their average at just right under 50%.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You really can't. And before we start getting into what went right, you've really got to look at that. Third down percentage is so paramount in this game, especially with a team that's been constructed in the way that the Patriots are. You've got to be able to sustain drives.
Mm,
And when you can't do that, you're not going to put points on the board.
mm.
The Patriots weren't able to do that again. It's been woeful all year. Um, they've gotten into third and long, so they got into third and long situations far too often, and they just don't have the personnel right now to be able to overcome that.
And really, I think this is what gets to the heart of your monster keys because, in theory, I think those monster keys could have led to victory using the pass, and
Yep.
you did. You switched my opinion on this heading into this game, and rightfully so, in using Bailey Zappi's strengths as a gunslinger, someone that wants to push the
Yep.
ball downfield. In the first matchup against the Bills, Mac Jones efficiently, and I give him credit for that,
Yep.
folks, he took apart the short zones. That's where Buffalo gave him the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Mac did it. That's not Bailey Zappi's strong suit, and I
No.
completely agree with you. This is a kid who needs to push the ball downfield. The problem that the Patriots ran into was poor pass protection
Right.
and Bailey Zappi not reacting to the hot read quick enough in order
Thank
to
you.
shed the ball. That's something that I kept hearing in the back of my head. I could hear your voice going, hot read, hot read. Even that half a second, folks, that's a hesitation too long, will prevent the offensive line from being able to provide protection. Look, I'm not giving any flowers to the offensive line. They struggled big time. They had a lot of problems protecting the pass, and they did not perform well in this game. But when you rely on that protection, or you need a quarterback that's able to make the read quick enough to make those downfield concepts that Bill O'Brien was calling effective,
Yep.
you're looking for a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what happened. So in theory, I thought your key was right on the money. I thought it was poor execution by the players that prevented it from
Right.
coming to fruition. I still think Bill O'Brien made the right decision by doing so. He just didn't get the execution he needed.
No, he didn't, and you can't hang this on Bill. I thought OB threw caution to the wind. He wanted to trust his young quarterback into setting up the other keys that we were talking about, and he wasn't able to do it. And the offensive line, we keep saying it week after week after week, and more people are jumping on board now that it's the offensive line play that has completely undermined this entire season. Yes, you can go back to Bill on it, but this is where you have to start rebuilding next year in the draft. It's with the offensive line. I don't just want to see one offensive lineman taken in the first 3 rounds. I want two. I want 2 offensive tackles taken in the first 3 rounds.
Very good point. And we're going to get to draft strategy in just a moment,
Yeah.
folks. Did the Patriots' performance on Sunday change Murph's mind about where they should be headed in the draft
Sorry.
or where they should be focused in the draft? I got a funny feeling I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, folks, and it's going to be a fun discussion. So don't miss that. Stay locked in to Locked On Patriots, folks. And the other reason to stay locked into this episode of Locked On Patriots is Murph and I are not only going to talk about the negatives, there were some positives to be taken from the field on Sunday, and Murph and I are going to get into those in just a moment, mostly from the defensive side of the ball. Defense talk and anything else Murph wants to share on his monster keys being turned or unturned when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patriots fans, the NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there is still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets win or lose. If you're thinking of trying FanDuel, don't delay, do it today. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same game parlays. You can find your bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub. That's the best way to find popular parlays. And folks, there's so much more. You got to see it to believe it. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Patriots fans, once again, thank you for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, spending time on the first day back from your holiday break here with Locked On Patriots. And who else would join me here to kick off a new year on Locked On Patriots than my good friend, the legendary Thomas Murphy, columnist extraordinaire of diehardsportsfans.com, and of course, a staple here on Locked On Patriots. Your wisdom and counsel is what makes the show go, my friend. And I think we proved that in the first segment. You follow the monster keys, you go to the top. You don't follow the monster keys, you're never heard from again. With all due respect, Murph, I think the Patriots tried to follow your monster keys on Sunday.
They did.
The problem is you can lead the offense to the monster key, but you can't make them turn it. And that's exactly what happened. They just didn't have the personnel to turn those keys. A little bit of a different story on defense. The Pats turned the ball over 4 times in their first 6 series. You said that. It's almost unheard of, folks, that the Patriots were not in complete blowout mode by halftime, but being down 20-7 was actually, I thought, a windfall for the Patriots, considering the hole they dug themselves in. Big part of that were defensive stops, and I think this defense played particularly well under the circumstances that they were put in, and I thought they did a nice job against Josh Allen for the most part. When you're looking at this matchup, I know you had some defensive monster keys. We talked about them on Friday. Which ones were turned? Which was most beneficial for your New England Patriots on Sunday?
Stuffing the run. Okay. They did a fantastic job at it. I mean, you could look at the box score and see that the Bills ran for 127 yards, but they weren't very effective yards. They held James Cook to 48. Josh Allen put up 44 on his own, and 19 of it came on one run where I was screaming at the screen before he took off. He's going up the middle. He's going to go up the middle. Just stop him right there, and it didn't happen. They were opportunistic, the Bills, with their runs, and it helped them move the chains. But I think on a whole, the Patriots did a good job. They kept James Cook out of the end zone. They did a fantastic job in owning the red zone. Okay, what the 8 ball that they were put behind was probably the biggest 8 ball that I have ever witnessed on a football field, with the turnovers and the short fields that Buffalo had to work with, and they got 1 score out of it. They got 1 score. The other times they were forced to settle for threes, and isn't it nice to have a kicker that can get you those threes? So yeah, that was it. On the other side of it, I wanted them to go after Josh Allen. Okay. I wanted to unleash Christian Barmore and company. Pressure numbers be damned. They were able to get in his face, get him off his spot, and what the front seven was able to do was make him rush throws that he did not want to make. Make him rush throws to receivers that were double covered. It was a fantastic job. They mixed things up really well between man coverage and zone coverage. They kept him off his game. Okay. They didn't allow the running game to set up anything that Josh Allen wanted to do. There was one play in the beginning of the third quarter. The Dalton Kincaid play for 51 yards. You can throw that on Duggar if you want. I'm not sure where the miscommunication was there. I think he was expecting a little help over the top that he didn't get. But no, this defense is a juggernaut. You keep hearing people talk about how they aren't doing well against the better quarterbacks in this league. Well, Josh Allen is considered one of the better quarterbacks in this league, and in 2 games this year, the Patriots have done a pretty good job.
Again, I think it really lends itself into the argument that the Patriots are kind of finding a little bit of a formula here in terms of being able to contain Josh Allen. This year in 2 games, he's completing only 59.2% of his passes against the Patriots. That really, I think, lends itself into the game planning. The Patriots are doing what they should do with Josh Allen. They're taking away Stephon Diggs. They're taking away James Cook. They're not giving him his typical zones.
And that was one of my keys, is to take away guys like Cook, like Diggs, put it on Dalton Kincaid, and who, you know, he had a 51-yarder pulled in there.
He did.
But that was basically it. Put it on Gabe Davis. You know, these guys did not get into the end zone. Everybody that you talk about as you know, these premier weapons that the Patriots need, the number 1 wide receiver, the highly picked tight end, they're not helping their teams. And for the most part, a lot of these teams are still fighting for their way into the playoffs. They're empty stats, people. They're empty stats. What's not an empty stat is what the Patriots were able to do on defense again this week. And if we just had some competent play from the offensive line and from quarterback, this team is a playoff team right now.
That's disheartening for a lot of different reasons, but it could be encouraging heading into the 2024 season as well, to show you that not everything in New England, folks, is broken, especially this defense. They continue to be juggernauts, like Murph said, doing a great job of defending against the pass and making sure that Josh Allen did not get his typical targets. Another thing that they did, turn one of Murph's monster keys, take James Cook out of the equation. And for the most part, folks, they did it. They held Cook and the Bills to a negative 0.10 EPA per attempt. And that really is without what I like to call James Cook running roughshod over the New England Patriots. Our good friend Evan Lazar over at Patriots.com put it so much more eloquently. 0 explosive runs on non-scramble plays.
Right.
That sounds a whole lot better than running roughshod. But you get the point, folks. That's exactly what New England knew they had to do. This resurgent Bills running game has been such a big key for them, being able to move the football against so many teams. Patriots identified it, and they came up with a very good strategy to be able to contain it on Sunday.
They really did. They contained it well, and then they blitzed well. They did a fantastic job in keeping Allen from doing anything while they were in blitz packages. It was great. They were fast to it. Arms were up in the air. They were taking away lanes from him to throw into, and just, you know, another hats on performance by this defense that is top 10 in the league in DVOA, and they're missing their 2 best players and their number 1 cornerback, and they had to ship off their number 2 cornerback in you know, something that we don't have enough time to get into. How you doing out there, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely, folks. And, you know, bottom line, this is where the New England Patriots make their bones, so to speak, to put it in Godfather terminology, my friend. Unfortunately, that defense job just keeps getting tougher and tougher.
20 years, though.
Yeah,
for how many years did we hear, well, Tom Brady only wins because he has a top 5 defense? Okay, well, we all know that wasn't true. But year in, year out, this is a top 10 defense. Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive mind in history. And while you're going to sit there and cut him up for draft, the way he drafts offensive players, you really can't on the defensive side. If you're going to cut him up for drafting Cole Strange, look at what we got going on right now without Cole Strange. Okay, Cole Strange was a good pick. He wasn't a great pick. The kid's been hurt since August, for God's sakes, and now, unfortunately, his season's over.
That, to me, lends itself into offensive overhaul, and I think that is going to be a focus for the New England Patriots heading into this offseason and maybe even heading into the draft. Murph, it seems like it's almost a foregone conclusion that the New England Patriots will have at least a top 5 pick. I know a lot of Patriots Nation is hoping for that number 2. We outlined a lot of scenarios yesterday here on the pod to get the Patriots to number 2, but what do they do with this newfound draft capital? And did Sunday's game change anyone's mind on what the Patriots should be doing and should be looking at heading into this pivotal 2024 NFL draft? We know Murph's been vocal, but is his mind getting a little bit cloudy on the subject? We're going to talk about that and much more when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, football season is here, and there is no better time to use PrizePicks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. In fact, they're the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of those other players, including the pros and the sharks out there, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. And listen up, folks, you are going to love this. With the PrizePicks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. And that's for football games and for basketball games. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. And PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. And if you're a Patriots fan and you're looking at that injured reserve list in New England, you know all about the need for injury insurance. So don't delay, do it today. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 by going to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots, spending time on your Tuesday here. And don't forget, folks, Wednesday is going to be a midweek mailbag day here on Locked On Patriots. It's been a while since we've done a midweek mailbag here, Murph. But you know what? There were so many great questions. We couldn't limit it to one segment.
Right.
We are going to dedicate tomorrow's show here on Locked On Patriots to the mailbag. And my good friend's going to be joining me here once again in the hot seat. Murph, we always love having you on to open up the mailbag. And believe me, this is a robust mailbag. So be sure to stay locked into Locked On Patriots. You're not going to want to miss it. But I know a lot of the fan base is divided right now as to which direction these New England Patriots should be going in the 2024 NFL draft. Several out there are thinking quarterback or bust. That's got to be your if you're drafting in the top 5, you got to go with a quarterback right off the bat. I know you've been very vocal about where the Patriots should head. Some people were actually saying that maybe your method of thinking was pretty smart, considering that the offense looked a little better under Bailey Zappi. He looked a little more comfortable. And a lot of people are thinking maybe this kid can do it with the proper supporting cast around him. Mm-hmm. Well, we went over his first half on Sunday. Not very good. I think maybe my 2020 hindsight of his second half performance was viewed with a little rose-colored glasses on New Year's Day. Actually went through it again. And, you know, not terrible. He definitely was better in the second half than he was in the first, and I credit him for making the adjustments, but there were still hesitations and difficulties that led to problems. My question to you, my friend, is did Zappi's performance change the mind of Patriots Nation that we're starting to believe that maybe another type of cornerstone might be the way to go here in 2024?
If the changing of that cornerstone is the quarterback, no. I've said time and time again, Bailey Zappi will be a fine backup quarterback in this league for many, many years. And my thinking right now is, as to the way I want the Patriots to address this draft hasn't changed one iota. You can go out and find a developmental quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round again. Okay, you can go out and sign a veteran quarterback. There are going to be plenty on the market this year that are going to be available to come in here. You might have to overpay these guys. You can also do the same thing at wide receiver. All right, what you can't do is go out and build an offensive line that you're going to have for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't want the Patriots to just take an offensive lineman in the 1st round. I want them to take an offensive lineman in the 2nd round. All right. If the Patriots end up somehow with the second pick in this draft, trade back and trade back and trade back again, as long as you get Joe Alt. All right. The only way that this screws up my dream and my vision is if the Bears suddenly come to their you know senses and take Alt before anybody else has a chance to. Yeah, and we all know that they're not going to do that. The last time an offensive tackle was taken first was Eric Fisher. So they're not going to trade back until you know that you're going to lose Alt. Okay, and there you have a foundation, a cornerstone at left tackle for the next decade and a half. All right, and then in the second round, you go back out and find yourself a wide receiver in 3 or a quarterback of the future in 3. We might have seen him over the weekend. We don't know. We've got to wait for the entire Senior Bowl season to shake out before we do that. This team is not as far away as anybody is talking about. And I'm telling you now, folks, everybody that wants you to take a quarterback will set this team back 3 years, because you are not going to take one of these high-priced, high-drafted rookie quarterbacks and throw them out there, unless you're an idiot, and throw them out there to be fed to the sharks behind this offensive line and with these weapons that they have. There are people that need to be re-signed on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not sure if they're going to want to come back, and there are people that are going to need to be jettisoned and make room for others. There have been mistakes made on this roster. There's no doubt about that. But I understood the only mistakes that I didn't understand was Bill trusting the tackles that he had under contract going into this year. But no, it's not changing my draft strategy at all. You build an offense from the inside out. You build a defense from the outside in. Bill has already built that juggernaut defense. This offensive line has let him down. Some of the direction that the team wanted to go last year has let himself down, because he drafted and brought in players that were going to fit that system. And now they have to pivot again. There's only one way to do it. And that's you can't build anything that's sustainable from a leaky, broken down foundation that is just you're constantly pumping water out of. You just can't do it. You just can't. All right. Now, it's not sexy and it's not pretty, and you might want the flashy quarterback or wide receiver at the top of this draft, but it's not going to happen if you don't have a quarterback to throw him the ball. You're not going to have a quarterback to throw him the ball if you don't have that offensive line.
Very good point, folks. I think the argument of building for the future is you absolutely need that cornerstone. And we hear this term an awful lot, Murph. We use it an awful lot to build that foundation. And most of the fan base has been very vocal about needing that quarterback. And look, there's no denying it, folks.
No.
The New England Patriots do not have a franchise quarterback on their roster right now. If you're going to be a franchise quarterback in this league, you have to be able to repeat your peak performance over and over again. The Patriots just do not have that guy on the roster right now. Bailey Zappi and even Mac Jones, stop groaning, folks, I know, but even Mac Jones have showed the ability to perform at a high level in individual games. The problem is neither of them has been capable of sustaining that type of performance week after week after week. So leading into this draft, everyone assuming the Patriots have to go for the quarterback in this position. Bottom line, Murph, if New England identifies the type of quarterback that can be that week-to-week star every time they take the ball and elevate this team to a new level, if they feel that type of cornerstone is in this draft, they're definitely going to have a decision to make when it comes to how to utilize that first pick. But I think this comes back to your argument, and I think it articulates it well. This team is not just one cornerstone away from contending. They need quite a few. And one of the big ones that they need is offensive tackle. Now we know the situation of what we're dealing with Trent Brown. That is not a situation that's going to end well. Just to give you an example of the type of season that Trent Brown was having when he was healthy, engaged, and in the lineup, 80.3 of an offensive grade from Pro Football Focus, one of the highest of his career. It
Yep.
was the highest of his career, 80.8 in run blocking. That's a significant drop off when you're
Right.
looking at a guy that we know obviously now is not going to be factoring into the
No.
future plans of this team. You need a left tackle, folks.
Right.
You need
When
to
I'm
protect
out,
that
when
blind
I'm
side.
out on Trent Brown, you know that
Yeah.
the entire building is out.
And look, there's no guarantee that the right side is going to be any more secure. I love Michael Wainu. I think the Patriots should do whatever they can to keep him
Right.
in the lineup. But, you know, bottom line, if his side is not amenable to what the Patriots are offering, he may be testing the free agent waters. And if he does,
Franchise.
offensive
Franchise.
tackles, yeah, absolutely. They really
Yep.
should
They
use it.
have
But
to.
if Awenu is in any way averse to that, or if they think they're going to be really opening Pandora's box with something like that, you might be looking at both tackles headed out of New England this season, and that would be detrimental to any
Yep.
young quarterback coming in. Like Murph said, if you're putting a young quarterback, no matter how talented, behind a makeshift at best offensive line,
Yep.
it's setting this kid up for disaster,
And
no matter who he may be.
and I love, just while we're talking about that, I've said before to franchise him or extend him and get him back in. City Sal has looked really, really good
He
the
has.
past couple of weeks.
Mhm.
He's really coming into his own. It's not easy to get down there, put your hand in the dirt and play well from the get-go, folks. You've got
Mhm.
to be a really special kind of guy like Joe Walt.
Mhm.
But he while the experiment at right tackle didn't really work, he's done really well with the guard at the guard position with Onweyu and David Andrews. Being in between them has really helped. The interior of this offensive line looks good in the future. They
Mhm.
just need those tackles
Right.
and to find a little depth behind them. I said before that I was fine with who's here as the depth. I'd really like some upgrade here because these guys have just, they've soured me so much because they've looked so bad in trying to be the frontline guys. They
Mhm.
just can't. They're depth pieces.
Yeah, very well said. And you know what? Bottom line, folks, when it comes to depth along the offensive line, you can never have too much. I know the Patriots are probably going to get more modern in their offense, and they should. Without that type of comfort, folks, and without that ability to know that you're secure to play your game, things
Hmm.
can get awfully dark for a young quarterback very early. I know everyone is absolutely betwixt and between by the show that Michael Penix Jr. put on for Washington. Believe me
Left-handed,
when I tell
right-handed.
you, I am absolutely not taking anything away. He was phenomenal. He's got an excellent wide receivers core, but Penix looked great. His fundamentals looked great, but it's very easy to look good when you've got that supporting cast, and the Patriots just don't have those types of weapons right now to provide a young quarterback like a Michael Penix. They better give him some protection, otherwise he is going to be running for his life as well. So, Murph, I think you make a great point. I think there
Yep.
are arguments to the contrary, arguments to the pro.
Sure.
Folks, bottom
I wouldn't
line,
have
we
had a
want to,
problem taking Fenix in the second round.
yeah,
Honestly, I wouldn't, but he's not a second round pick anymore.
no, not after that
Not after last
performance.
night.
He's ready to go.
He's well within the top 20.
Mm,
Well
absolutely.
within the top 20.
Yeah, and I don't see him dropping anytime soon. He's only
Nope.
going to ascend that ladder, folks. The Patriots are in for an interesting decision. And again, we understand your argument for wanting to get the top level quarterback. If the
Hmm.
Patriots are at number 2 or number 3, you have to consider it. There's no
Right.
question about it. But if you're dropping below that and Joe Alt is available, that is a tremendous cornerstone to build upon. That should not be viewed as a consolation prize, folks.
No.
That's a jackpot because the New
Yep.
England Patriots are solidifying a position that
is.
has caused them a lot of problems throughout the years when they don't have the right guy in. Unfortunately, the right guy this year that was playing well just wasn't locked in to their game planning. And you saw what happens when he's not in the lineup. So always interesting when my good friend Murph drops by here to lend his wisdom and counsel. But tomorrow, he's coming back because we want
Yeah.
your wisdom and counsel. We want your insight, and we want to know what is on your mind, Patriots Nation. So get those questions in for the midweek mailbag here on Locked On Patriots. And Murph, we can't wait to open up that mailbag. But once again, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today, buddy, to spend with us here on Locked On Patriots. Lend your wisdom, your counsel, Don Murph, Before I let you go today, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what we can look forward to coming from the great pen of Thomas Murphy for the remainder of this week.
Well, I got a couple of pieces up there over at diehardbostonsports.com. Check those out. A few Red Sox pieces. The keys to victory will be published on Friday, as always. And you'll only get the secret key here on Locked On that day. Also, yeah, secret key was not turned. Was not turned this week, and I was a little upset about that. One little miscue, and we don't. Yeah, no. But no, other than that, I'll be here anytime you ask me, Mike. Thank you so much for making me look good
Right.
each and every week on these airways and asking me back. You couldn't get rid of me if you tried.
Yeah. It is your wisdom, your counsel, and your insight that make you look good, folks. Like I've said before, I'm just honored to give you the platform to do it. And we look forward to a lot of Murph here on Locked On Patriots in 2024, using the draft Mondays coming up, a lot of mailbags, a lot to break down. And who knows, Murph, we might even be breaking in a new head coach and a new regime here on Locked On Patriots. A lot to think about. That's a big question on your mind, and you can bet that we're going to be talking about that tomorrow here on Locked On Patriots. Yep. So stay locked in wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Once again, folks, stay safe and stay well and be the change you wish to see in the world. On behalf of Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, advising you to enjoy the evening, enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.